We're talking about narcissism today. Narcissism is a word that's tossed around and used quite often in terms of explaining the behavior of others when they're being selfish or grandiose. Now, there have always been narcissists in our society, but today, with social media, Facebook, and now Instagrams and selfies, it's just providing narcissists with a much larger platform to get attention and fulfill their need for constant validation. And so the issue seems more obvious than ever. So who is a narcissist? Well, it's someone who has this huge sense of self-importance and an extreme preoccupation with how others perceive them. They're consumed by their own needs so that they lack empathy for others. And they often envy others and believe that they are envied in return. They believe that they're special and entitled to extraordinary privileges. And so they're prone to angry outbursts if they feel that they're rejected or criticized, or they get frustrated by others. Now, narcissism is not the same thing as self-esteem, because having some amount of narcissism is actually healthy. But people who have high self-esteem are often humble to go along with it, whereas narcissists rarely are. I want to focus today on narcissistic parents and the profound impact that they have on their children. Parents who are narcissists are so focused on themselves that they cannot empathize or meet their children's emotional needs. Also, narcissistic parents tend to see their children as an extension of themselves, and so they use them to fulfill their own needs to seem important. And the child of a narcissistic parent feels valued only in terms of their ability to meet the parent's needs, and so they grow up feeling like they're never good enough, and they learn early on that they need to meet the needs of the parent to avoid being criticized or emotionally abandoned. So some key signs that you may have a narcissistic parent include: 1, that you are not allowed to have your own feelings because they would upset your parent. Number 2 is, it just seems that no matter what you did, it was never good enough. 3 is that you had to please your parents or risk being abandoned emotionally. They would just withdraw. It would feel like they would be really cold towards you. And 4, you learn to be super responsible in order to please your parents, and also probably pretty hypersensitive to what those needs were. 5 is that you have a hard time making and keeping your own intimate, close relationships. 6 is you constantly feel the need to defend yourself, justify yourself, or explain yourself to others. And then 7 is that you have an overwhelming need for external validation in order just to get the reassurance that you are okay. So the first steps towards healing is, number 1, is that you have to learn all you can about narcissism. It's a personality disorder, and the more you know, the more you will start to understand the difficulty in trying to relate to a person who has this. Number 2 is you have to accept that narcissists do not change, and they're often not rational. So trying to argue with them is usually, or should I say always, a waste of time. And number 3 is that since you can't change them, you have to stop waiting and start learning how to change how you're going to react to them. And lastly, in order to find a way to empower yourself, I really suggest that you work with a trained therapist who can help you to really let go of the hold that this parent has over you so that you can start to feel empowered again.